good evening. My name is Amy and this is my channel, Amy's Adventures in Blunderland. Usually I do videos which would include hauls, weekly vlogs, chats and a lot more. I am also on Instagram, which is at Amy's_adventures_in_Blunderland. I'll put a link here. And today this is a bit of a different video. This is a video that I have been promising for a long time. This is a Center Parcs hints and tips video. I am possibly the world's biggest Center Parcs fan. I will not hear a bad word said about it. So if you are not a Center Parcs fan, then I suggest we part ways now. I haven't planned what I'm going to say in this video. However, I have got some notes about what I want to talk about. So hopefully I won't waffle too much. I won't say at the end of every sentence, and I'll try not to faff with my hair because I do that quite a lot. So just a little brief introduction about myself. With regards to Center Parcs. I have been going to Center Parcs since I believe 2001, so 18 years, which would mean more than half of my life. I have been almost every year since 2001 and I am not bored of it. I have been with family, I've been with friends, I've been with both combined. I am going again in June with my best friends. 5 of us are going and I really cannot wait. So let's get started with the hints and tips. The first thing I am going to talk about is before you arrive. So I tend to book well in advance, maybe a year in advance, because often I go on my own and you've got to pay for it. So I try and book as far as in advance as possible, and then I can just pay what I can afford each month until I've paid the balance. Also, I find that this helps if I'm booking activities, because I can book those in advance and pay for those in advance as well, so that when I actually get to Center Parcs for my holiday, everything is paid for that I'm going to be doing, and I'll just need money for spending money and food and things like that. Before you arrive, you will get maybe 6 weeks before, you'll get your brochure from Center Parcs telling you where you will be staying, what your lodge number is, and all the sort of information that you need to know for when you arrive. Normally you can arrive from 10 o'clock at Center Parcs and you can get into your lodge from 3. You can pay to have an early check-in, which I think is only an hour or a couple of hours before. So unless you've got really teeny tiny children who need to have an afternoon nap, or you need to be in a lodge early for a specific reason, then I wouldn't pay for it, because there's so much to do. You can go swimming, you can go to the restaurants, you can do activities, you can have a walk around, you can do so much that you probably wouldn't need to check in early. Also, what to pack. I would say plenty of comfy clothes and shoes. You're not going to be going to the club unless you're going out of Center Parcs. You're not going to need dressing up stuff, really. The most dressy, I would say, is if you were going out for a nice evening meal. You could maybe put jeans and a nice top on. Cliche, but you don't need loads of fancy gear. I normally take trainers, if it's the summer, some sandals, generally jeans, leggings, comfy tops, and maybe a fleece or a hoodie, something like that. I also am generally on a budget, so I like to take food with me. There is a supermarket on site. It's a brilliant supermarket. You can get pretty much everything that you need from there, but it is a little bit more expensive than your Morrisons or your Asda. I tend to I normally go Monday to Friday, so I would need 4 breakfasts and 4 teas. I generally get dinners, sandwiches and things from the supermarket, but I would take basics such as bread, milk, tea, coffee, things like that. So you've got stuff for your breakfast, and then I plan 4 evening meals and buy the bits to take with me. I have been to the supermarket nearest to the Center Parcs before I've checked in and got my stuff there, but like I say, if you're not really on much of a budget, then the supermarket there sells everything. It's not really expensive. I would say it's sort of in between a holiday camp supermarket and your normal budget supermarket at home. So it doesn't break the bank, but if you want to take your own stuff with you, you can do. The lodges are fully equipped with everything that you could need. They've got pans, they've got baking trays, they've got everything, so you'll be fine if you do take stuff to cook. I know also if you've got kids, sometimes it's easier to just stay in, make your tea, and the kids can go to bed at a reasonable time. You can pre-book where you're actually going to stay. You can choose the area where you are going to stay in Center Parcs. If you haven't been to Center Parcs before, there are different areas in where the lodges are. I think there's probably about 7, and they're all based around the site, and then the village centre is in the centre, and some are further away than others naturally, so you can pay again to be closer to the centre. I would say if you do have tiny kids with tiny legs, then it might be easier for you to have a lodge closer to the centre, but I think it's about £40 to pay to choose. So maybe just take a pushchair, or I know I had a friend that we went together, and her child at the time was small, and she took like a sit-on trike that you could push, and that worked really well, because there's nothing worse than somebody being tired when you have to walk back to the lodge. However, I will say if you're an adult, you don't really need to choose where you stay, because everywhere is in walking distance and it's not that far, and it's so pretty, so it doesn't really matter if you've got a 20-minute walk, because it's all lovely to look at. So check-in and day 1. I've already mentioned about how you can check in early and what you can do on check-in day. The fact that you can get in at 10 o'clock and you can do all of the activities. It's just that you can't get into your lodge until 3. When you arrive at Center Parcs, you drive up and check in, and they give you a map and your keys and direct you to the car park. You have to park up, and then you can explore and do whatever you want, really. When you get to your lodge at 3 o'clock, you can unpack and get settled, and you have a few hours where you can have your car outside the lodge, but then you have to take it back to the car park and you leave it there for the duration of your stay. The Centre Parcs site is car free. You can't drive around the site unless you have a specific reason and you've cleared that with Centre Parcs. People do still leave their cars outside their lodges and don't take them to the car park and ignore the rules, which is quite frankly rude. Just do what you're supposed to do. That it's not far to walk. You can all drive back to the car park to drop your car off if you want to. When we were kids, we used to get there, unpack, and my dad would take the car back and we would get settled. It's a little bit irritating when you see that some people think that they're above the rules and can just leave their cars where they want to leave them, because that takes away from the rest of the niceties of Center Parcs, really. The reason that you leave your car at the car park is so that it's safer for people. They can just walk around without having to get out of the way of cars, but it's also for the wildlife, I believe, and it's better for the environment, is how I understand it. So yeah, leave your car at the car park once you've checked in. Activities. Now, I cannot go through all of the activities that you can do at Center Parcs. It would take me days. So I will just give you a brief chat about it. There are hundreds of activities ranging from gym classes to spa days. You can make pottery, you can go horse riding, you can go quad biking, you can go and kayak, you can learn how to swim, you can do Zumba, you can go to see the panto, you can make cupcakes, you can have a photo shoot, you can go swimming, you can have a massage, you can do anything. Pretty much. The swimming pool is brilliant if you've got kids. If you haven't got kids, if you're a big kid, it's perfect for anyone. Even if you don't swim, there are places to sit around the pool. There is a bar, sort of cafe thing, a place where you can get refreshments. The swimming pool is free. So if you are planning on going to Center Parcs and you are on a budget, you don't want to spend too much money, the pool is free. You can go in there all day, every day, if you wanted to, and there's no charge. There are jacuzzis, there are rapids, there are wave pools, there are slides. It is brilliant. One of my favourite activities is to go to the aqua sauna, which is the spa. These are extra activities, so you do have to pay to go, but it is worth it. It is the best spa I have ever been to. The spa itself is brilliant, and they've just done a refurb on a lot of, I think all of the spas actually. There's so much to do. It's so calm. It's lovely, and I would definitely recommend it if you're into spas. Like I say, there are so many activities that I couldn't go through them now, but they're all on the website, so you'll be able to check them out if you are looking into going to Center Parcs. You can do as much as you want or as little as you want. There's so much to do, but also if you're just going for a completely chilled out weekend, then you can do that as well. It is perfect for either or, really. Or say you're a couple, one of you's really active and wants to do loads of things, one of you just wants to read your book and watch the ducks on your patio. Perfect. There is so much to do, and it caters for everyone. Restaurants and food. I think I have covered this pretty much food wise by talking to you about the supermarket. If you are planning on going out for meals, there are many restaurants. Probably 6 or 7 restaurants that you can go to. There's also what's called dining in, which is a takeaway where you can go and order from pretty much any of the restaurants. They have sort of a shrunken down menu from each of the restaurants, and you can order takeaway. There's a supermarket, and there is sort of a couple of casual restaurants where you can just go. To be honest, you could go to any of them whenever you wanted because you're on holiday, do what you like. But there are many restaurants that you can go to. I also recently have been doing a little bit of research because a couple of my friends that I'm going with in June are vegan and I am vegetarian. So I was looking, and a lot of the restaurants have vegan menus, which is brilliant. And I think if you were to ask, they would help, and they would try and cater for you because they are really helpful. So there is an American restaurant, a French restaurant, an Italian, Indian, there's a pancake house, a burger place, one that's in the sports centre, so that's just like pub grub. There is another sort of pub type place. To be honest, I might have missed some because there are so many, but you're not going to be short if you want a restaurant. I would say if you were going on a weekend or in peak time like school holidays, book before because you don't want to turn up and be disappointed. But there's plenty of places to go. Nighttime. Well, there is a disco for kids, and I'm not sure how late that goes on to, but there are bars as well, and occasionally for seasonal things they have, say at Christmas they'll have a pantomime which is on the evening as well. If you have been out for a meal on an evening and it's dark, I would make sure your phone's charged because you might need to use the torch or take a torch with you because they don't have bright lights because of the wildlife. They do have street lights, but it is quite dark, so I would take a torch if you're not sure of your bearings because you don't want to be wandering around the forest at 11 o'clock at night in the dark. And there's not much more to say for the night time, just that there are places to go if you want to. If you don't, then obviously you've got your lodge, you can stay in, have a cup of tea and watch telly, which is what I like to do. Accommodation and cars. So I have told you about the car situation. You leave it in the car park and it's there for the duration of your holiday. Accommodation ranges from I would say normal to luxury. You have I normally stay in the lowest price or the second to lowest price, and it's fine. It's nice. It's a nice place. You get a lot of amenities, is that the right word? So you have a cooker, a dishwasher, microwave, toaster, kettle. Some of them you get coffee machines in. You get your towels provided, but take some for swimming because they're not big enough, and I'm not sure you're allowed to take them with you. You're not supposed to take them with you swimming, so take some swimming towels. You get your loo roll, you get a little pack, so like dishwasher tablets, fairy liquid, things like that. But I would take more if you're planning on eating in at the lodge, because inevitably you'll run out. And if there are quite a few of you, take a couple of loo rolls as well. You also get like tea, coffee and sugar and a little bit of milk when you arrive as well, so that if you haven't brought anything with you, you've got it, so you're not going to be thirsty. You generally have a hairdryer. I think in the main bedroom normally there is a telly as well. You get a DVD player, so you're sorted really. we have now come to the question section. I have put a couple of times on my Instagram a question box for you to send your questions in, and I've got a few here, so I'm going to answer them now. So the first question is favourite Center Parcs activity. I touched on this earlier. It's definitely the Accommodation spa. It's amazing. If you're into spas, definitely book it because you will love it. Question number 2, what is my favourite village? Well, I have been to 3 Center Parcs villages, I believe, which are Sherwood Forest, Winfell and Elvedon. I've only been to Elvedon once, so I don't really remember much about it, apart from I loved it. Winfell was the one that we first started going to, but actually Sherwood Forest is my favourite Center Parcs village. The rapids there are really good. The swimming pool, and I don't know why specifically, but Sherwood Forest is my favourite. Question 3, is the Accommodation worth it? Like I say, if you're into spas, then yes, it is. It can be quite expensive to go, but you do get 3 hours and you can just mooch about as much as you want, go in the rooms as many times as you like in those 3 hours. I haven't actually stayed in the spa long enough for them to kick me out, so I think I've been for the 3 hours, but they don't come in and find you and say, oh, you've had your time, get out. It's definitely worth it if you're into it. Next question, what level of accommodation would I suggest? I spoke about accommodation a little bit. I think if you don't need to spend more money, if you aren't bothered about it being maybe a little scuffed around the edges, then just go for your basic. It's always clean, they're always nice, and they're always doing something to them to improve them. When I go in June, we have paid a little bit extra and we're going to have a new style lodge that has a sauna, so it'll just be a little bit more modern. But like I say, I've been to the basic lodges and I am always fine. I have no complaints really. Another question here, will you be going on the big water slide? I don't know. There's a new water slide at Sherwood, and as I've got older I've become more of a wimp. I used to like scary rides, but I'm not sure. I won't know until I get there, but perhaps I'll be persuaded, who knows. Next question, is it worth it? Yes. I don't understand people who don't like it. I haven't come across many, but yes, it is worth it. I would go forever, and hopefully if I ever have a family I'll be taking them as well, and we'll all be going for years to come because I love it, and yes, it's definitely worth it. Next question, are there any negatives? Now, I've had to think long and hard about this because I can't really think of any negatives. However, I will say, and I think this is the same for all holiday places, not just Center Parcs, I do know that the prices really hike up when it's school holidays, which isn't fair on people that can only go on holiday in the school holidays. So that is probably the only negative that I can think of. Next question, should we hire bikes or just walk? I didn't tell you about this. You can hire bikes, that is one of the things that you can do. I don't really have a preference. I don't mind if I walk, I don't mind if we have a bike. It's quite good if you want to go at a quicker pace. If you've got bikes, then you don't have to set off as early to do your activities. You can just get on your bike and go. There are places where you can ride your bike as well. You can ride all around the village, and there's little trails off in the forest. But I would say you don't need to hire a bike unless you particularly want to. Everywhere is in walking distance. Next question is actually, is the early check-in worth it? Which I spoke about earlier. I said I don't think so unless you have a specific reason, but I wouldn't bother paying for it because you can do all this stuff that you want to do anyway. You just can't get into your lodge. So that's all the questions, and this is the end of the hints and tips video. If you have any more questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will see if I can reply. I just wanted to do this video because I absolutely love Center Parcs. I'm going soon and I just wanted to share my 18 years experience. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it has helped, and I'll see you next time for more chat. Bye.